Back to my MC hat. We're breaking for lunch now. It's 2:10, so we're a bit behind schedule. We'll reconvene at around 2:45 for the third panel discussion. So please join us back at 2:45 for next panel discussion. Have a great lunch and a walk around the expo and maybe some whatever different spirits on offer. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the post-lunch session at the Brews and Spirits Expo 2022. This is our third edition, and always a tricky time post-lunch. Our discussion on hand is titled Collaborate to Grow, Product Innovation via Cross-Industry Collaborations. Original moderator for this panel discussion was Anand Virmani, but unfortunately due to personal emergency, he's had to step down. And Anjali Batra, the co-founder of Food Talk India, has very sportingly agreed to step in. Thank you, Anjali, for that. I'd like to welcome on stage first Anjali Batra, the moderator for the discussion. Anjali is the co-founder of Food Talk India and also the Chief Marketing Officer, as also the Gin Explorers Club. Welcome, Hansel. Hey, Hansel, how are you doing? Good to see you. I'd also like to welcome on stage Arman Sood, the co-founder of Sleepy Owl Coffee. Hey, Arman. Rakshay Dhariwal, the co-founder of Passcode Hospitality and Passcode Spirits. Rohan Carvalho, the president of the IFBA, Indian Flair Bartending Association. Mr.Heemanshu Ashar, global brand ambassador, Paul John Spirits. And Kasturi Banerjee, whose rum we're all drinking outside, the founder of Stilldistilling, Amakazai. Collaborate to grow product innovation via cross-industry collaboration. Anjali, take it away.
Thank you so much, Vikram. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back. I'm Anand Virmani and free gin for everyone here today. Unfortunately, Anand wasn't able to be here, but I'm really happy to step in because this was a session I was actually very interested in attending. But this is a lot more exciting because I get to be part of the action with you all and be part of what I would hope is going to be a very fun debate today. So just touching upon what the topic is today. You can't? Okay. Is this better now, guys? Yeah? Okay. So collaborate to grow product innovation via cross-industry collaborations. There's been a lot of very interesting stuff that we have seen in the last couple of years, cross-industry, cross-brand collaborations, and we're here to discuss a couple of ideas with this great panel. We're witnessing interesting collaborations in the spirit space. Collaborations to grow rather than compete is the new mantra. And with collaborations happening both across linked beverage categories as well as between companies in the same category. How are these ventures a win-win? And are they just a one-off, or are they something that we're likely to see continuing and fertilizing? And also, is this something that is only going to be the homegrown smaller players, or are global brands also going to jump upon this space eventually? And we were having an interesting chat about this that we'd love to kind of open up the space and discuss with you guys. So I'm going to start with the first question, which is why collaborate? Is it really even necessary? Himanshu, can we start with you? Because I know you have a very strong take on this space.
Yeah, so I hope you can hear me. Yeah, great. So, you know, as a legacy point of view, and I'm talking about 2 decades from the industry plus, it was always competition, it was always market share. Your reviews were this market, this is the premium category, this is the prestige category, and how are we going to tackle this? And I'm not talking just from a single malt point of view, which is what my card says or this says, but as a traditional point of view, the outlook, the frame of mind was competition. Today, these collaborations are one way of not only working together to expand the market, but also expand the audience. So, you know, we just had at lunch a non-alcoholic beer. Now, at alcoholic space in a traditional framework, why would somebody drink something like this? But we ended up drinking because it's alcobev. It's you are next on the line, and then you can't be as
Alert.
alert. I think only Kasturi can pull it off. But today, if you are looking at expanding the market, collaboration is one of the drivers to do that. And it can be done within the industry and even cross industry, which I'm sure there are many examples.
Yeah, and we've all, and I don't know if you all went to the Greater Than bar outside, but there's a very beautiful example of collaboration right here of Greater Than and Sleepy Owl, and they created a product together called the No Sleep Gin. And I was talking to Arman about this earlier, and I said, were you guys not a limited edition? So Arman, we'd love to hear about the journey of building this product and why it even came about.
Thank you, Anjali. So I remember about 2.5 years ago, Anand called me and said, we want to do a collaborated product. We want to launch a coffee-infused gin. And we want to do it with Sleepy Owl. And when I heard him say that, I said, we're definitely down to do something like this. 2 reasons. One is because you get to work together on building a new product from scratch. You get to research, you get to innovate, you get to solve problems, and then put something out in the market that India hasn't seen before. At least, a unique product, first of its kind. The second is when you do collaborate, you end up working with interesting people, like-minded people, and you build relationships that last a lifetime. Anand and I knew each other professionally. Now I can say that he's a friend, and we spent a lot of time over the last 2 years getting to know each other. No doubt, once the product was in the market, as Anjali mentioned, it started out as a limited edition product. I'm waiting for Anand to pull the plug on it, but it doesn't seem like he will because it's been a huge success. I think for both brands, doing something like this where you push the envelope as collaborators really shows how far the industry can go when players and partners come together. So it's been an exciting journey, and we hope to see more cross-industry collaborations like this in the future.
I also think that the concept of collaborations come from the core genesis of 2 people having very similar DNAs, right? A brand like Sleepy Owl is catering to a massively growing culture of coffee consumption. Coffee that has gone beyond a necessity now to a beverage of enjoyment. And gin similarly has become a huge trend in the last couple of years. So it's a very organic fit to take 2 things which have similar principles and say, boom, let's collide and see how much bigger and greater they can get.
Absolutely, and I think to add to that, when you have the same target audience, right, our brands in their respective industries have a very similar TG, so more of a win-win when 2 similar like-minded brands collaborate together.
So the limited edition was more because it started maybe as an interesting marketing tool, but proof of concept of the product doing well is actually having it still on the shelves, maybe now a year later from when it started?
Yeah, I think another, I don't know if this is Anand's thought process, but for me, when you say something's limited edition, you drive a lot more excitement towards the product. In fact, and then you also make it available slowly and steadily. So for the longest time, they were only in Goa, and then gradually, they came to Delhi 3 months later. Friends, family, our customers, we were hounded day in and day out on when is this going to be available near to us, right? So I think I've had requests of people in Calcutta and everywhere else where I'm from, bring a bottle for us. So I think when you say limited edition, you drive a lot more excitement. It's still on the market. He's still selling it. I hope he keeps selling it.
Marketing gimmicks for everyone else. The overall concept of drop culture is literally what millennials are running after nowadays. So the moment you say there's this much demand, the moment you say there's this much, there's only this much demand for it. So yeah, the scarcity of availability creates a higher demand for things, and that's a very interesting topic. The next thing that we wanted to sort of touch upon is while there are a lot of collaborations, for example, Greater Than and Sleepy Owl, or we've all seen a great collaboration between Stranger and Sons and Bombay Canteen. There are also a lot of collaborations that are happening but are not publicly open, that are more silent and have a very different meaning and purpose behind it, not always from a commercial viability standpoint. So silent or public collaborations is it still a collaboration if consumers don't know about it? And I'd love to hear your take on this, Rohan, because I think the 2 years that we all saw during the COVID times, the industry of bartenders got hit in a very drastic way. And we saw a lot of brands come together in their own perspective and not from a PR angle to actually give life back and give employment and other sort of, reliefs to the industry.
True, true. Thank you, Anjali. So, when we talk about silent collaboration or loud collaboration, so I would like to talk on behalf of the Indian Flair Bartenders Association. So, what we feel that what we did was a mix of both. The reason is because when you talk about collaborations, it's about two brands coming together, two or more brands coming together at the same platform with a common objective. And this time the objective was the crisis that we are going under. And everybody wanted to do something about it in terms of, helping in whatever way one can, because all were hit at that time when the COVID came. So that kind of collaboration that took place during the COVID, where the Indian Flair Bartenders Association could, do something about the situation, that was one of the best things that happened to the industry, because a lot of people were helped. Coming to the point about silent or loud, when I talk about silent, yes, it was silent because none of the customers were aware that there's a collaboration happening in such a large scale. And loud, yes, it was loud because the entire industry came together to kind of support. I totally, appreciate everybody who came in their own form, in their own companies, with their own potentials to do something. And a lot of people in the industry actually did it. And we were one of them that could actually do something about it. And one of the examples that I would like to put over here is like one of the liquor brands, they started up a fundraiser. And it was nothing to do with his own particular category. So we had coffee, we had tea, we had spirits, and we had a non-alcoholic mixer coming together and in a collaboration with a kind of a gift box. And they sold it at half the rate, and the entire amount that was generated was again going back to the, for charity. So when I saw something like that happening, it was like, it's a very good message that is coming out that everybody wants to collaborate, but this time it's not monetary, it's charity. And thank you, to everybody who came forward, because there was almost like some 380 people that IFBA could actually help. So yeah, coming to the point, it's silent as well as it was loud, and it wouldn't be possible without the help of many of the industry stalwarts, and most of them are actually sitting here in this room right now. I won't take any names, but it wouldn't be possible without
Maybe
them.
we can give a little applaud for everyone.
For them, yeah, please, thank you.
I want to take this question on to Kasturi as well, because I know that we were also having a chat about this earlier, and while occasions like Pride Month and Women's Day are marketing gimmicks that a lot of brands harp and hero on, and I know as a woman in the industry, every whiskey brand wants to feature you as Women's Day mascot, and suddenly we're like, why are we alive right now and dead through the rest of the year? But you did some very interesting stuff with during Pride Month with the community. Would love to hear about those collaborations.
Hi, good evening, and thank you for having me here. On your question, I think when you collaborate, either it's with a person or a brand, I think the objective initially has to be very, very clear. What are you chasing as an objective? Are you trying to get publicity? Are you only trying to do good work? Are you trying to help community? Or are you trying to raise funds? It's as simple as that. And I think when we have a common objective, for example, during the pandemic, we tried to, as a brand, we tried to help the bartenders in terms of upskilling their, upskilling their skills. In terms of, Instagram has become almost a CV or a show reel for everybody. So what we try to do is upskill them with photography skills and kind of make their CV ready to when work begins, when employment starts, so that they're ready to get jobs. So that was one. Next is what I discussed with you a little while ago. Pride Month, there are allies, there are people who are not so comfortable coming out. but we do stuff with them, but we are silent. So I think when brands collaborate or people collaborate, the objective has to be very, very clear. It should benefit everybody. And that's about it.
No, I think that's very right. And I think that's something that we should touch upon is why do collaborations happen? There is one angle of it where it's two cultures coming together to build a larger community, which is the example we had with you guys of Greater Than and Sleepy Owl. And then there's, for example, building strength and showing the power of India on a global map when you look at Greater Than and Stranger and Sons and Four Pillars coming together to build a global collaboration, which is then taking that as a India provenance story to a larger extent. Then there are collaborations like you were saying, which is more cause driven. Again, community building in its own way, but seeding in the ethos of your brand in the right voices and building more of a loyalty program, I would say. But Rakshay, do you have any inputs on why brands collaborate and what the space is moving towards?
So with Passcode Hospitality, before I got into the spirits business, we've done a lot of collaborations. We did a Jamun Ginger Ale with Swami, which was part of their Superlative Cocktail League. Then part of Passcode Hospitality, we also launched India Cocktail Week with my good friends from WMS, where we decided to showcase large-scale events that focused on cocktails throughout the country. So I've always been a huge promoter and supporter of collabs. I think getting more people together with a common agenda makes a lot of sense. Now, each different partner has a different agenda.
Yeah.
And as long as those agendas are aligned, I think there's a lot of scope to do really good work together. After that, coming to my spirits business, it's very good to collaborate with other people who perform certain significant roles that you're unable to or might not have the time or bandwidth to. So in terms of my production for Pistola, a great friend of mine, Desmond, has helped me put that piece together. And moving forward in terms of my aging and everything, we had a fire in the distillery and we lost a lot of money, lost a lot of time. And I turned to my friends, my good friends at Charisma really came through, helped me out with barrels. My good friends at Paul John came through, helped me out with barrels. And it's great to support other people from the industry because it is a small industry. And it's good to work along with other people because you can build something bigger and better together. You shouldn't. I don't like the mindset, this one's eating my market share, this one's, I'm not from that mindset. So I think, definitely working with people with a common agenda is the right way to go about things.
No, I think that's a very interesting point you raised because 10 years back, it was an industry where everyone was trying to eat each other up. And it was a game of only global big brands, right? The giants came in, they tried to eat each other's business. It was about how much market share you were getting. And then the newer, younger, homegrown brands started to come in. And more importantly than not, they started building a larger base. And I remember I had a conversation with Shweta Jain about this a couple of years back. And at that point of time, Hendrix was the only big player in the gin space. And Monkey 47 was coming into the country. And I had a conversation and I said, Shweta, are you worried? And she turned to me and she said, no, Anjali, we're just going to build awareness for a category where people are now ready to spend 5,000 rupees for a bottle of gin. And soon after, there came more and more and more. And the consumers became more adaptable and aware of a category. It became larger. And I think that is definitely an interesting space. So collaborations between competition. Himanshu, what do you...
First, I think that word competition has to kind of be put across as co-optation because you're working together to expand the market. Now I'll bring it an opportunity came. So, see, in terms of across the industry, obviously it's safe place. coffee, cocoa, mead, brewery, it's all fine. But when you talk across, let's say I go and walk across our compatriots of Jagdale or Radico and say, hey, we want to do. The biggest first thing today is that it is now attracting a lot of attention. So I think whatever the vision, horizon is, I see easily another 5 new players coming in the next 18 months. New brands coming in into the next 18 months. First thing is to come to a level of a basic quality. Ashok and I, Ashok of Amrit, Master Distiller now, had a conversation at Whiskey Life Paris in 2019 that let's do something together. But then the world changed and we are actually right now, honestly speaking, sourcing who gets the closures first because the supplier is the same. So its supply chains are still yet to pave way. But I think there will be a time. But my apprehension, and even Ashok shares the same sentiment, that it should not be a pet project. It cannot be, okay, let's Michael, Ashok and Himanshu sit together and we come up with a limited edition and then we say, okay, let's see how we can. No, that's not the idea. I think if we really want to bring this framework and outlook that we are here to build the category, then a product that we create together would have a salience in all our portfolios, whoever are the participating stakeholders, as much as 5 to 10%, then it's a game changer. Otherwise, yeah, it started one phone call, one at a bar or at a distillery with Kasturi and say, okay, let's do this. But unless we don't, it's good because this level of, I would say, bhaichara has to happen to build the building blocks. And it will then lead to bigger things where you could come together and open a new subsidiary and say, this will drive that. So, and it has happened internationally. So it's not that we are creating a new world over here, but it will go to that direction. And that, I think, maybe in the near future, it's possible. It's open, and we just have to sit together after we figured out how much of closures he's getting and how much of closures Amrut is getting and how much of closures we are getting.
So collaboration from you should have a longevity, sustainable lifestyle versus...
Yeah, because for example, today for everyone, the most expensive asset is time. Right? Would Kasturi spend that same 1 hour talking to Michael for a rum cask finish or a whiskey cask rum finish than open a new market, which will straight away go to the bottom line? That's the call.
But our collaboration not more from a disrupt the market, give people something new, a talkability point of view.
After that, what?
Well, you're in the business of selling your spirit. So collaboration is more.
So what I'm saying is this part, so far, whatever every panelist has brought into is fair game. It's a good start, but I think the next level is beyond pet projects, and I think where.
Can I add a bit?
Of course.
So, Vikram, Achanta from Taliu and me, we're having this conversation for the longest. And we kind of agreed that, the future is really blend. And it can be any kind of blend. It can be collaboration. It can be anywhere, with common interests blend. And I think one of the greatest examples is about McDonald's and Burger King. They had a campaign in Argentina which kind of spread across the globe, which said, day without Whopper. which means that Burger King stopped selling their maximum selling burger, which is Whopper, because McDonald's, with their Big Mac, was donating $2 to every children's charity with cancer. So I think, that is the kind of valuable collaboration which should be long term. It should be maybe a day or 2 days or whatever. But I truly believe that collaborations should not be timed. It can be a day, which is like, being a part of Brews and Spirits is a part of collaboration. True. Right? So it can be a day, it can be 2 days, it can be a year long. But I think what is most important is kind of agreeing. I always believe in an objective. Like, what are you chasing? What are you looking at? Once that is correct, it can be short or long. I think in the same terms, some collabs have gone extremely wrong too. There was, I think, a collab between Red Bull and Kendall Jenner. Okay, where she's trying to give a Red Bull to, have you seen this video? He's trying to give some Red Bull to a fire sergeant in some parade, I'm not very sure. And it just was very misconstrued, saying that, he's trying to save lives and you're giving him a Red Bull. So, it's a spin. So it can go right or wrong. On the other hand, I think, like I said, objective is same. One of the collabs between BMW and Louis Vuitton was fantastic. BMW came up with i8 as one of their brands. And Louis Vuitton said, we are both luxury brands and we will make luggage which will fit exactly your boot. So that was an excellent collab. So I think that, irrespective of time or timeline, I think you have to agree on what you want. And then it's all fine.
So it's a cause and impact.
It is always
based,
about what are you looking out of that collaboration.
Yeah, like I think what Himanshu was talking about was more of a long sustained collaboration which has a definite impact on sales, on just where your product is diversifying and new markets you're looking to open. And I think you're talking more from impact and marketing perspective, because a lot of these were, we'd say, maybe slightly more perception based, and then the impact that it's causing in terms of the audience.
Like I said before, I think when you collaborate with anybody, even with a chef, we collaborate with chefs all the time. We do food pairings, right? We collab with mixer brands, like, what goes well with Makazai. I think those are very clear and very simple. But when you're looking at trying to impact society, when you're trying to change lives, it has to be more thoughtful.
That's true. Thank you so much. I think we did dabble on some of them, which was discussing examples of collaborations around the world, success and not. Kasturi, of course, gave us some. Rakshay, any collaborations that you would want to add up on? Any fun, exciting stuff you've seen or done, or anything that's coming up next with Pistola?
Yeah, so with Pistola, we're actually doing something that I'm very, very fond of. It's a Rosa. So if you look at the competition in the market, there's just one brand and priced at about 16,000 rupees. But when I can bring that price down to maybe 1/3 to 1/5, depending on what market I'm targeting, I think there's a good business opportunity there. And when we've done a lot of blind tastings, and I don't want to toot my own horn, but I urge more people to do such blind tastings because I'm extremely proud of the product, and thank you for Charisma for doing this with me. And I think my main thing is with Pistola at least is identifying a niche that does not really get captured in the market and exploring that. I've been throughout my entrepreneurial journey, I've done a lot of that, starting with PCO back in the day where, speakeasies were not heard of. Any cocktails beyond, whiskey, half soda, half water in Delhi, were not really heard of. So I've always been on the trend that find a niche and exploit it, or not exploit it, just give people, avenues to experience that niche. So yeah, I think overall finding like-minded people, working with them, enjoying working with them, like Arman and Anand do. I think there's a lot of legs in that because you always working has to be fun. You cannot, you don't want to get into a relationship with someone where you don't enjoy their company. And working with someone, you develop bonds that transcend, regular friendships. And when they blossom into friendships, that's when the true magic happens. And that's why I'm a huge, supporter of collabs, working with people. And everyone has a different skill set.
Yeah.
You, by yourself, I don't think I would have been able to accomplish 1/5 of what I have unless I worked very closely with my team, with external teams, with agencies, with brands, and it's very important to feed off the energy of someone else. It's very important to develop something together, to put out something because you yourself don't know it all.
So playing on somebody else's strength is I think also a very important factor of collaboration. So one is of course having a similar agenda, but then the other thing is, for example, you get your product distilled at the Desmond G distillery because they know how to make the spirit and you don't need to invest into that side of it. Or, Anand coming to you and saying, you make great coffee. They could have got a flavoring that they just added to their product, but they instead went with someone that was an expert in the space. So not just similar ideologies, but also two strengths coming together to create something greater, I think is a very important part of collaboration. The other thing that I wanted to discuss with you, Rakshay, is you run India Cocktail Week, which is bringing competitive brands across the space onto one platform. It is technically a collaboration because they're collaborating to create an experience for an audience. Were you apprehensive when you guys first went out and started approaching brands to say, hey, we're going to put you all on one pedestal to compete and win share of throat amongst the same audience? Was that something that you got a backlash towards? We'd love to hear your insight on that.
No backlash at all. I thought all the companies really embraced the challenge of being able to compete on an even playing field with the other companies, at least the big guys, So the first people to jump on board saying, yes, we're doing this. We're coming in with 5 of our brands, we're coming in with 4, we're coming in with, So everyone was like, okay, now let's flex our muscles. Let's show the consumers what we have to offer that is better, bigger and better than our competitors. And so, you'd be shocked to know that in our cocktail weeks today, some of the really, really innovative, cool, fun stuff are being done by homegrown Indian brands. The connect that they have with the consumer, and the consumer is king in these events. And what do they drink? And I get the sales reports at the end, so I know which brands really do well, and it's shocking to see some of these smaller brands compete with the mammoths of the world. Yeah. So, and the big guys like it because they're learning a little bit from it's a David and Goliath story, So people are learning off each other, and it's great because you also, as a customer, you get to experience the whole realm of different products in the market, and yeah, I don't think we've ever had an issue with different brands not wanting to be there because this brand is there. It's not been like that at all.
So the concept of platforms that bring inter-brands to collaborate is leading to a lot more innovation and inspiration that eventually leads to innovation. Rohan, you're on the other side of this industry where brands come to you for these solutions and say, hey, this one's doing this, what can I do next? We'd love to get your take on how collaborative platforms are building healthy competition and are just leading to a lot more innovation in this space, because 5 years back you'd walk into a bar and you get a drink. Now you walk into a bar, you get an experience which could either be skewed and created by the bar, or a collaboration between the bar and a brand that is looking to position and own that mind space of the consumer.
Like Rakshay nailed it to the point, you know. Just to flash back earlier, you know, every brand wanted a space in terms of they would create an own event rotating around a brand. And if there would be a competition brand, they would say, we are not entering this event because X brand is a part of it. The entire scenario today has changed drastically, and it's a win-win situation not only for the brands, but it's also for the consumers. Number one, and also for the trade experts like bartenders. So for the brands, it's basically you're trying to expand the market of a particular category, I would say. This time, like Rakshay said, or just to throw a little light, the first gin sling that happened in India, I myself, I was a little bit surprised because I've never seen two competitive brands like the mammoth of that category is rubbing shoulders with a starter company. And that was something very new for me because it's never happened in the past, right?
Yeah.
Fast forward today, we have some amazing events happening all over the globe. I mean to say in India, thanks to Rakshay, and I mean, I'm sure you also coming up with something amazing. Having said that, now for the consumer, it is one of the best platforms to kind of see all the brands at one spot. End of the day, they are king, right? So now for the brands, it's very important to kind of showcase the best what they have. And once they do that, you know, they are pushing the boundaries of innovations. So the people who are behind the counter making your drinks or giving an experience to the consumer who are coming from different parts to experience that, you know, they are getting something new which they wouldn't have got if they would have gone to any horeca or any bars or any restaurants. So these kind of events are definitely pushing the bartenders to kind of innovate something new. There was some crazy stuff going on in most of this the cocktail week. I mean, it was pretty cool. Apart from the experience of music and food and cocktails. So overall, it's a win-win situation for everybody. The brands coming together, rubbing shoulders, flexing their muscles to show, okay, let's see, you know, where I stand in this entire, the cocktail culture, which is good because trust me, I mean, a decade back, cocktails was not the in thing, but today everybody knows their cocktails. And I think one of the contributors to this would be collaboration. 100%. And these collaborations are coming from people like Rakshay and, you know, all of the people who are trying to get all the brands together at one platform. For the consumer, it's good because they're having a great time and they are getting this knowledge transfer, that they're learning about cocktails, they're learning about brands, they know what is tasting, they know what is the 5S of tastings, X, Y, Z. For the brands, it's about, you know what, we are building a healthy competition and each one of us are kind of, you know, it's not about the competition anymore. Like rightly what Himanshu said, it's not about the competition, it's about getting together to expand the market. And for the bartenders, yeah, they have to push up, they have to pull up their socks, they have to do something that is different from the other, I would say, brand or the stall that is there. So I've spoken to a couple of BAs who are a part of such events and they come up with some brilliant ideas which I don't think would have happened provided they wouldn't be a part of such events.
Absolutely.
So it's a win-win situation for all, and I think a collaboration like this is one of the reasons that it's pushing, it's raising the bar of the cocktail culture for the consumers and for the brands and also the hospitality professionals who are trying to kind of, you know, meet that standards. So it's a win-win situation for all. I think that's a brilliant thing that's happening.
Perfect. No, thank you. I think the last decade has seen a lot of innovations happen, a lot of new brands come about. The room for collaboration was something that never existed before, but is now happening advocately. We're seeing so much stuff and so much more coming up in the next couple of years as well. I think the few things that we've understood today is it is in many ways about two like-minded brands, two ideologies coming together to make bigger things happen. It is about, you know, sort of building communities and pulling strengths of different people together, and in some cases, of course, building a stronger, larger, or actually just building new categories completely.
So, you know, it is a good, as I said, we built these smaller blocks which lay a foundation, but I think if we now go and ask ourselves what next, it is
I was just going to ask, what's
Yeah.
next?
Well, I think today we are still building for the world the Indian single malt category. So, and that's where we work together, and that is when we go, and this is a very small thing, and maybe uh, the the gin players and the rum can take this. So when we participate in the international forum, like a Whiskey Live or a Whiskey Exchange show in London, we go and all of us put together, independently though. So whether it's Radico, whether it's Jagdale, whether it's John Distilleries, we go and say that we want to be next to each other. Why?
So you're building the category space?
Because when they come, the international audience come, they say, oh, okay, we want to be tasting all of this together to build context. And most of the times, internationally, we are next to the Japanese single malts, right? And they are all together. And this is a very important call that we all have taken. That is that in an international presence, because the organizers approach individually to all of us. We say, no, okay, where is the Amrut stall? Put it next to together. Where is the Rampur stall? So that building the category, I think we have, Hemant mentioned some time ago, there are 28 single brands. Okay, he may have taken brands, but if you look at players, and it will grow. And even in the gin, there are many players. So when they are together, you are, to the consumer, you are sending so many signals that we are as an industry coming together, not only in a trade fair or a business related, industry related forum, but to the consumer as well. And hey, you decide what you like. And that's fair. You decide what you want to say, that this is what I drink. That's perfectly fine. But as long as you see us together, that would be the first point of the collaborations.
I think that's a beautiful example of collaboration between competition, because you're building strength in numbers to show India does create great single malt. We're not just, a one brand or a two brand company, but there's so many brands that are now there that it makes the category a little more serious for anyone from a global standpoint. With now, how many brands are there across the Indian single malt space?
I mean, internationally, before the pandemic, it was 3. Now I think we see participation from Piccadilly as well. And Piccadilly is doing 2 brands. One is Kamet and one is their own Indri. So that put together will be 5. The coming season, which is very similar, the coming exhibitions are very similar to the Formula 1 circuits, which are Whiskey Lives and so on and so forth. And that starts, that has already started. So I was in the London Whiskey Live, and we are doing something in Australia this month, and so on and so forth. And that is something that all of us have to step in together.
Yeah.
And that's the run-up. Whether we will be coming up with a limited edition liquid is a little too far to talk about.
5 ml of everyone mixed together and shaken up, the ultimate collaboration.
There is already something called in Bangalore, it's called the Gadbad ice cream. We are not going in that direction. So yeah, but it has to be far more. It is, so we are doing, in terms of collaboration, I just want to bring in one accent here, because Sazerac, which is the company that has taken active shareholdership in John Distilleries, there is phenomenal level of collaboration that's happening. And that itself is one of the silent agendas and the silent, where we today build programs. They are not just collaborations, they are programs that go across the master distillers of Sazerac and John Distilleries, and then they say, this is what we are going to create, and that will take another 10 years to come out. So it's building for the next generation.
Does third-party production also, manufacturing also fall under the collaboration, or it's a formula that's given to you and you manufacture?
It's just a simple bottling contract.
Okay, that something
Yeah.
I was curious about. I think Kasturi, you wanted to add.
I just wanted to add one bit. I think I think the consumer is the real key person today. You know, why are brands collaborating? It's because the consumer is very experimental today. They're adventurous. They want to have cocktails. They want to have varied cocktails. So the minute that variety comes in, collaboration automatically comes in. So I think irrespective of brands wanting to collaborate or not, I think that is the future in terms of, like we all discussed, you know, giving the experience, the full experience. Apart from giving the full experience, is also submitting to the needs of what a consumer wants. Like, you know, when we have a ICW in Goa, and thanks to Rakshay, it's a party. You know, it's a carnival going on. So collaboration is there, there's experience, there's fun, there's music. So I think it's what we're trying to give the consumer is a good time.
Yeah.
And the good time should not be like just one time. So I think it's a cyclic process.
And I'd love to hear from Arman on this, moving slightly away from the spirit space. And I don't know if this directly falls under collaboration, but you guys started as a cold brew company now 5-6 years back, and you've continued to evolve and innovate and give new sort of SKUs and products, which in some ways collaborating towards your audience on what do they want next. We'd love to hear a little bit about that.
So yeah, while we are a coffee company and we started as a cold brew coffee company, I think when we were in our first 2 years when we started out, we were very clear even then that cold brew is actually a very interesting ingredient. It is less acidic and less bitter and a great addition to cocktails. So even then we weren't shy as a small brand to go up to people and say, listen, bars for that matter, restaurants, and say, listen, why don't you use cold brew and we'll supply it to you as an ingredient in your cocktails or even in your food menu. So we were fortunate to have like a special coffee cocktail week, which the Olive Bar and Kitchen organized, and we were on the menu, our logo was there, yes, marketing, branding, and very limited edition, like just a week-long sort of activity. But they did curate 3 coffee cocktails and 6 dishes made with our coffee as an ingredient. And that's how I think even early stage collabs happen, right? What I'm excited about is coffee infused everything down the line, right? Most people sitting on this panel will be approached by me sooner or later. And I'm also excited to see more coffee-based cocktails on menus around the country at bars, right? I think even if it's a limited edition or a permanent edition, I think bartenders and bars should experiment with coffee as a core ingredient. I think the espresso martini is the longest standing, possibly the only most recognizable beverage. I think for Anand and me, it was also saying, okay, why not something that people possibly cannot imagine, and that's what will drive the excitement.
So you are a product that caters to a much larger market, right? Your coffee, we all drink coffee. Everyone in this room might not. Well, there is a definite amount of chai drinkers, but I'm sure you can convert them with your marketing skills. But you went and collaborated with a category that caters to a much smaller audience profile, which is gin. Why?
So we, again, I think it was, so I don't necessarily think that, the gin drinking audience is a smaller category than the coffee, and therefore we should or should not collaborate.
Amen to that.
Right? I think it's all about mindset. It's like, okay, if these are the gin drinkers, and let's put whatever number to it, maybe smaller than coffee. But that's an audience that is, that we can tap into. We can be in their mind space, right? I think today, for brands, especially young brands, to continue to grow and innovate, it is about having consumer mindshare and being there where your customer is, right? So today, through our partnership with Greater Than, I'm available at this event here. The bottles are there, my logo is there. I'm here today, able to speak to all of you and introduce my brand, market it, because of 2 people coming together and saying we want to do something, right? So I think that little seed is gradually going to open up a lot more opportunities for us as a brand. So I think thinking about partnerships in terms of small or large, or just to leverage someone else's audience, is a very short-term and narrow way of looking at collaboration. Collaborations are meant to be, like Kasturi said, impactful, meaningful, relevant, right? The hard work and the innovation that it took to actually put a cold brew infused gin in a bottle and bring it to the market was not easy, right? I have full respect for the flavor houses that are here and all over. It would have been very easy to take a coffee extract, dip it in the gin and say we're done. We didn't, right? I've got pictures of Anand, and his team sending me, hundreds of kilos of ground coffee that has been brewed. And he's like, how do I dispose of this? I don't know what to do with it. And I'm like, neither do I. Like, let's figure it out, right?
Case facts.
So yeah, that's sort of how we look at it.
So I think in a way this taps into what Himanshu was talking about earlier. They may have actually built a new category that people didn't know existed, which is not just flavored gin, but two cultures of day and night coming together to create an amalgamation of something phenomenal.
Yeah, so that is what is called palate expansion. It's not market expansion, but you are treating the consumer a newer palate and you're expanding the market with a newer taste. And that's palate expansion. Now, there are two things that I would leave Anand and Arman to solve. If it's a limited edition, put a number on your bottle and say that's where it ends. If it's a limited release, then you say that I will do this every year and I will only come up with so much. That will bring a lot more. I mean, for the next person thinking of this, they'll say, okay, we need to go above that. And that's when you drive that program accordingly. Because, in India, this limited edition, I think, is now, that game is gone to, I think only the underwears are yet to use that thing that this is a limited edition underwear. It will only last you for so much, right? Everything else is now limited edition. So, I think...
You're putting ideas out there.
Yeah, I'm just putting it. Think limited edition, but be true to that limited edition, right? Just don't call it limited release. If you say, I'll bring this every year, fair enough. But yeah, I think it's just semantics, but it's important what messaging we give to the consumer, because the consumer is not a fool, is far more smarter than you are. And once it gets out there, whatever the hard work, 2 years, just goes down the drain. So it's just, I mean, you've come up to craft, you've brought this up together, go down that path, and focus is something what you want to do and are not going to do. And stay with that. That's all.
Arman has something and then I'll...
No, absolutely fair. I wish Anand was here to hear that. I'm facing the brunt of this alone. But I don't think the intention was ever to, mislead the customer or fool the customer in any way. I think it was also, I think one of the key aspects of collaboration is experimentation, right? So when we started this, we honestly ourselves didn't know where this is going. And while I have full respect for your long-term view of making these products a large share of each person's portfolio, I'm also of the opinion that things need to come and go and customers will, try, evolve, accept. And I think next season they'll look for something even more exciting, and this is going to become irrelevant, right? They'll look forward to our collaborations here next year.
So Himanshu told us earlier today that he bought a bottle of No Sleep G&T a couple of months back. I'm hoping just to prove if this is a fact or fad or marketing gimmick or a long sustained product, we're hoping you will go home and open that bottle today. But concluding that, we'll open up if there are any questions in the audience.
Hello, I'm Mukesh Agrawal from Flavor House. I just want to know, when you say market gimmick, what do you think? You think customer is fool?
I think we have two very separate ends of exactly this spectrum where...
Let me complete, please.
Sorry.
In a open market, nothing is gimmick. You have to be serious. You have to be perfect. The price point of view, the palate point of view, and every kind of thing. You cannot think a customer doesn't know this thing, how he will know the percentage of this and that and other things. Customer knows everything. Everybody go through the Google, even single words like we are from the flavor house. We know what kind of ingredients going in the product. People will ask 100 questions, regulatory, everything. We never think it is a gimmick. It is a serious thing. When you are consuming something, it is a serious. Not only serious, it is a serious offense also. So please in this platform, don't use word of gimmicks. It is a wrong perception. Thank you.
So I missed some of your points. So it's not about gimmick. You're objecting to the word, but not the thought. So I think you are with us, but you're just saying don't use the word gimmick. Same way the way I'm saying don't use the word limited edition, just like that. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, everyone. Yeah. Oh, Vikram has a question. No, you're good?
Is there another question over
There's
there?
another
Okay,
question?
let's get the mic.
Oh, sorry.
Hi, this is Shumit. I am working in CHR Hansen, a Danish farm in fermentation technology. So we are seeing lots of activities happening in the non-alcoholic space and interviewing some peoples of industry. I came to know that they are not clear about what is the stance of excise duty imposition, right? They are not clear. So I think this is a crucial space wherein the scope of collaboration adds substantial value, right? So how you are collaborating? I know that because you are veterans of this industry and you know that is happening, non-alcoholic range. But the industry is not very clear how the excise stands. So are you collaborating on this?
I think, Arman, you can take this because this is actually quite in line with... I think it was more about how are non-alcoholic brands moving into the space of collaboration where the regulations restrict so much. So Greater Than kind of gave you that pedestal to come and get into a category in a space you couldn't.
So just to clarify, your question is not about non-alcoholic alcohol brands, right? It's about brands like us that are entering the space?
You can see products from Kingfisher. You can see products from...
Zero proof.
Zero.
Yeah,
Zero concept.
I think the zero proof space is more of a way for alcohol brands to get into categories and market in spaces where they were restricted.
Yeah, so as far as why they are doing as no or low alcohol is obviously brought about again for the thought of many instances where the person is not drinking alcohol but is consuming on or was consuming at any point of time. Could be medication, could be those, if you go to North, Mangalwar and Thursday I don't have, alcohol. But like today, I mean, we have to come here, so we might as well just have a no alcoholic beverage there, and that was on offer. There are many reasons. But I think on a food perspective or on a palate perspective, fine. There is an opportunity where I can have a beverage whose flavor I like, but I don't need the intoxication. And that is a category or market expansion.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
But it's not, and only FSSI rules happen, the excise rules don't come in. So if that's what it is. Right now there is no collaboration because it's at infancy right now. I would say it's at par with other movements of veganism, where you don't consume meat or you don't consume alcohol. So it's very nascent at this point of time. Not yet for I think it has to come to a critical mass to be open for collaboration.
Thank you.
It would also be one of the largest forms of surrogate marketing for these brands beyond just.
I think with the regulations and the restrictions that our country has, the zero proof, low beverage space gives room for brands to come in and market themselves even on shelves in the FMCG space. So it's opening up what right now the government is massively restricting for them in many ways.
Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you so much. So I think just to summarize, we have one more.
I think we're out of time, so we can take that offline maybe. And thank you so much, Anjali. Thank you so much for stepping in at the last minute. And a big hand for you, please. Thank you. Thanks to all the panel. And I'll request Roy Thomas to come up on stage and now it's some mementos.